Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new review on the channel. And today guys, I'm going to be going through the 2025 AFL Fixture which has just been released. Starting off with opening round, four very interesting games to start off the season. Brisbane Geelong on the Thursday night, Sydney Hawthorn on the Friday night, Gold Coast Essendon on Saturday, and the Giants and the Pies on Sunday, going with four games over 4 days rather than the three from last year. New broadcast deal does kick in this year as well. It's going to have many different chain reactions for this fixture, which is probably why it's going to look a little bit different. First round of the year, Richmond and Carlton at the MCG Thursday night, Hawks and the Bombers on the Friday night. Earlier start for Saturday, Geelong and the Dockers at GMHBA, the grand final rematch in the twilight. Two Saturday night games, both starting at the same time, which is a bit of a shame, but it's going to be the Doggies in North Melbourne at Marvel and the Pies and Port Adelaide at the MCG. Crows and the Saints, first game on the Sunday. Melbourne and the Giants, middle game, and the Eagles and Gold Coast in a later Sunday twilight night game, which is nice. No overlap Sunday for the first round. Second round got the Blues and the Hawks on the Thursday night. The Doggies and the Pies in the MCG blockbuster for Friday. Saturday's first game is going to be the Bombers and the Crows at the G. Port Adelaide, Richmond in the twilight, and one Saturday night game, the Saints and the Cats at Marvel. Sunday is going to be partially overlapped as well. Brisbane and West Coast at the Gabba to start. North Melbourne and Melbourne at Marvel, and then Fremantle and Sydney to finish around at Optus, with the Suns and the Giants having their byes. Round 3 will be the Bombers and Port Adelaide at Marvel on the Thursday night. Friday night, the Blues and the Dogs at Marvel. First game the Saturday, Melbourne and the Suns at the G. Saints and the Tigers in the twilight at Marvel. And a Saturday night game at UTAS between the Hawks and the Giants. That is going to be a big game for sure. Crows and North Melbourne starts off Sunday a little bit later than usual. And then a derby to finish round 3 with Brisbane, Collingwood, Geelong and Sydney having byes. Round number 4, Collingwood and Carlton on Thursday night. Not a Friday night, Thursday night for this game. Friday night will be down the highway in Geelong at GMHBA Stadium, Geelong versus Melbourne. First game on the Saturday will be Gold Coast versus Adelaide at People First Stadium. Richmond versus Brisbane will be the twilight game at the G. North Melbourne versus Sydney Saturday night footy at Marvel. The Giants will host the Eagles to kickstart Sunday's footy action at NG Stadium. Port Adelaide and St Kilda. And then to finish the round, it'll be Fremantle and the Western Bulldogs in a overlapped Sunday, with Essendon and Hawthorn to have their byes in round 4. Round 5, gather round, Adelaide and Geelong Thursday night, Collingwood Sydney Friday night, Barossa Valley is going to get a game, North Melbourne versus Gold Coast on the Saturday, Carlton and the Eagles at the Adelaide Oval as well, Saturday afternoon, Saturday twilight, the Doggies and the Lions at Norwood Oval, Adelaide Oval for the Saturday night game, Melbourne and Essendon, another game for the Barossa Valley on Sunday, Richmond taking on Fremantle, Saints and Giants at Norwood, and then Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn to finish off gather round. Round 6, Brisbane versus Collingwood at the Gabba. Big Thursday night, Easter Thursday game. Friday's going to be North Melbourne taking on Carlton at Marvel. Friday night-ish is going to be West Coast taking on Essendon at Optus Stadium. These kind of like middle of the twilight night starts are interesting to say the least. Melbourne and Fremantle on the Saturday at the MCG to start. Then it'll be the Crows and the Giants at the Adelaide Oval in the twilight. And then Saturday night, a bit of a rivalry now. This one, Richmond and Gold Coast at Marvel, not the G, at Marvel. On the Sunday, Swans and Port Adelaide, and then a Sunday night game, the Doggies and St Kilda at Marvel, leading on to Easter Monday. Geelong's home game, this time against Hawthorn at the G. Anzac round's going to start on Thursday night with Melbourne hosting the Tigers. Friday's going to have a double header of games with the Pies and the Bombers, and the Dockers and the Crows on the Friday night at Optus. First game of the Saturday is going to be St Kilda taking on the Lions at Marvel Stadium. Port Adelaide and North Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval in the twilight. Saturday night footy is going to be a growing rivalry, the Giants and the Dogs at Manuka Oval. First game of the Sunday is going to be Gold Coast taking on Sydney at People First Stadium. The Blues and the Cats, the G, and then the Hawks and Eagles finish the round off at Marvel Stadium in an overlap Sunday. Round 8 now. Thursday night footy, North Melbourne get a chance. Essendon versus North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium on the Thursday night to kickstart round 8. Friday night is also at Marvel, the Saints and the Dockers. That'll be an interesting game for sure. The Doggies and Port Adelaide will clash at Mars Stadium. First game on the Saturday. The Crows and the Blues will go head-to-head in the twilight at the Adelaide Oval. And then Saturday night's going to have two games again starting at the same time. West Coast taking on Melbourne at Optus Stadium and Collingwood taking on Geelong at the MCG. Sunday, the Swans and the Giants Battle of the Bridge will start at the SCG. Hawthorn versus Richmond in the middle game. And then Sunday night is going to be the Lions and the Suns in the Q Clash. Round 9, a late Thursday night game. Fremantle taking on Collingwood at Optus Stadium. The Saints will battle the Blues at the MCG on Friday night. Another MCG Saturday game for Melbourne, who will be taking on the Hawks. And then in the twilight, it'll be Essendon taking on the Swans at Marvel Stadium. Saturday night, Gold Coast start their first two-game stint, taking on the Western Bulldogs at TIO Stadium, and a little bit of a later than usual start for the showdown between Port Adelaide and Adelaide. Richmond will battle with West Coast first game on the Sunday at the MCG. Geelong and the Giants at GMHBA Stadium, and then Ninja Stadium, which is also Blunston Arena, will be hosting North Melbourne, taking on Brisbane in the Sunday twilight to finish off round number 9. Round 10 will start with the Thursday night clash with the Suns taking on the Hawks at TIO Stadium. They've made that their own after playing Geelong in this fixture in 2024. The Swans and the Blues normally play off about this time of year on the Friday night, and the Pies and the Crows normally play for this time of year as well, similar to last year at the MCG first game on the Saturday. Giants and the Dockers at NG Stadium in the twilight, along with Port Adelaide and Geelong, both games in the twilight starting at the same time. Saturday night, just the one game for this round, the Doggies taking on the Bombers at Marvel Stadium. Richmond taking on North Melbourne at the MCG to start off Sunday, Brisbane and Melbourne at the Gabba, and then West Coast and St Kilda Optus Stadium to finish the round. Round 11, Geelong and the Western Bulldogs. Thursday night footy, Bailey Smith taking on his former side to start round 11. Dreamtime at the G got moved from a Saturday night to a Friday night, so this is a big clash for both these two sides, Essendon and Richmond, on Friday night in the annual Dreamtime at the G game. Earlier start than usual for Saturday for the Blues and the Giants. That is to accommodate a doubleheader at Marvel Stadium. Hawthorn and Brisbane at the MCG in the twilight. The second game of the Marvel Stadium doubleheader is going to be Saturday night. North Melbourne taking on Collingwood, and then Fremantle will do battle with Port Adelaide at Optus Stadium. Also Saturday night, the Crows will take on the Eagles. First game on the Sunday at the Adelaide Oval. Melbourne and Sydney in the middle game, and to finish the round, St Kilda and Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium. Round 12, Brisbane Essendon Thursday night game at the Gabba. The Pies and the Hawks in a big Friday night game in the MCG. First game on the Saturday, it's going to be the Suns and the Dockers at People First Stadium. Giants and the Tigers in the twilight at NG Stadium. And then Saturday night is going to be Sydney and Adelaide at the SCG. First game on the Sunday, Melbourne taking on St Kilda at TIO Traeger Park, and then the Eagles to do battle against Geelong in a Sunday night game at Optus Stadium. The first buys start as well. Carlton, North Melbourne, Port Adelaide and the Western Bulldogs have their buys in round 12. Round 13, Thursday night footy, the Doggies and Hawthorn at Marvel Stadium. Friday night footy, Adelaide and Brisbane at the Adelaide Oval. First game of the Saturday, the Tigers and the Swans at the MCG, followed by the Cats and the Suns at GMHBA Stadium. The Giants will take on Port Adelaide Saturday night at Manuka Oval, and then North Melbourne will go head-to-head with West Coast at Hands Oval in Bunbury. North Melbourne hosting that game against West Coast. Carlton and Essendon, the annual King's Birthday Eve night game, and then Monday will be of course, Melbourne and Collingwood in the King's Birthday Big Freeze clash. Fremantle St Kilda have their buys in round 13. Round 14, Thursday night footy, the Saints and the Western Bulldogs at Marvel, Hawthorn and Adelaide at Utah Stadium, a Friday night game for Utah Stadium. First game on the Saturday, Brisbane and the Giants at the Gabba, followed by Essendon and Geelong at the MCG, big twilight clash that'll be. And then North Melbourne in WA again, hosting Fremantle at Optus Stadium in a Saturday night clash. First game on the Sunday, Port Adelaide versus Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval, and then West Coast finish the round against Carlton at Optus Stadium. Collingwood, Richmond, Sydney, Gold Coast with their buys in round 14. Round 15, another late Thursday night game against Fremantle versus Essendon at Optus Stadium. Friday night footy, we'll see the Lions head down to Geelong to play the Cats at GMHBA Stadium. First game on the Saturday, another MCG game for North Melbourne playing Carlton, Port Adelaide and Sydney in the twilight at the Adelaide Oval, and then the Pies and the Saints at Marvel Stadium in what is sure to be a big Saturday night clash. First game of the Sunday, the Giants and the Suns at NG Stadium, the Western Bulldogs and Richmond at Marvel. Weird how they've just done the two games starting early and overlapping, bit weird. Hawthorn, Adelaide, Melbourne and West Coast have their buys in round 15. We don't know dates and times from here on, but in round 16 we've got Gold Coast and Melbourne at People First Stadium, Richmond and Adelaide at the MCG, Sydney and the Bulldogs at the SCG, the Pies and the Eagles at Marvel, Hawthorn and North Melbourne at Utah Stadium, and Port Adelaide, Carlton at the Adelaide Oval, Fremantle and St Kilda at Optus Stadium. And buys continuing into round 16, Brisbane, Essendon and Geelong, and the Giants have their buys in this round. Round 17 back to the full 9 games, North Melbourne and Western Bulldogs at Marvel, Saints and Hawthorn at Marvel, the Swans and the Dockers at the SCG, Brisbane and Port Adelaide at the Gabba, another Collingwood-Carlton clash, or Carlton-Collingwood at the MCG in round 17. Essendon taking on Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium, Geelong taking on the Tigers at GMHBA Stadium, the Crows hosting Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval, and West Coast hosting the Giants at Optus Stadium. Round 18's got Gold Coast versus Collingwood at People First Stadium, the Giants and Geelong at NG Stadium, Richmond and Essendon at the MCG, St Kilda and Sydney at Marvel, Western Bulldogs and Adelaide at Mars Stadium, Carlton and Brisbane at Marvel, Melbourne and North Melbourne at the MCG, Port Adelaide West Coast at the Adelaide Oval, and Fremantle vs Hawthorn at Optus Stadium. Round 19's got Sydney and North Melbourne at the SCG, Brisbane and Western Bulldogs at the Gabba, Carlton and Melbourne at the MCG, Collingwood and Fremantle at the MCG, Essendon taking on the Giants at Marvel Stadium, Geelong and St Kilda at GMHBA, Hawthorn and Port Adelaide at UTAS, the Crows and the Suns at the Adelaide Oval, and West Coast and Richmond at Optus Stadium. Round 20, North Melbourne taking on Geelong at Marvel, second Q clash between the Suns and the Lions. GWS playing Sydney at NG Stadium, Richmond playing Collingwood at the MCG, Saints and Demons at Marvel, Essendon and the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium as well, Hawthorn and Carlton at the MCG, Adelaide and Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval, and Fremantle and West Coast at Optus Stadium. Did notice round 20 is the round of interstate rivalries. Round 21, Gold Coast and Richmond at People First Stadium, St Kilda taking on North Melbourne at Marvel, the Dogs and the Giants at Marvel, Swans and the Bombers at the SCG, Collingwood and Brisbane at the MCG, Geelong taking on Port Adelaide at GMHBA Stadium, Melbourne and West Coast at Marvel, which is definitely an interesting little fixture quirk, that one, the Crows and Hawthorn at the Adelaide Oval, and Fremantle taking on Carlton at Optus Stadium. Round 22, the Giants and North Melbourne at Manuka Oval, Richmond taking on St Kilda at the MCG, the Lions and the Suns in the Lions and Swans, in the second grand final rematch of the season to be played in round 22 at the Gabba after the first one in round 1. The Blues and the Suns at Marvel, Geelong and Essendon at GMHBA Stadium, the Hawks and the Pies at the MCG, Melbourne and the Bulldogs at the MCG, Port Adelaide and Fremantle at the Adelaide Oval, and West Coast and Adelaide at Optus Stadium. Round 23, North Melbourne taking on Richmond at Ninja Stadium, which is Blunston Arena. Gold Coast taking on the Giants at People First Stadium, the Doggies and the Eagles at Marvel. Swans and the Cats at the SCG, Carlton and Port Adelaide at Marvel. Essendon and St Kilda at Marvel Stadium as well. The Hawks and the Demons at the MCG. Adelaide taking on Collingwood at the Adelaide Oval, and then Fremantle and Brisbane to close out round 23 and the penultimate finish, round 24. North Melbourne taking on Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. Giants and St Kilda at NG Stadium, Richmond and Geelong at the MCG, the Western Bulldogs and Fremantle at Marvel Stadium, Brisbane vs Hawthorn at the Gabba, Collingwood and Melbourne at the MCG, Essendon and Carlton at the MCG, Port Adelaide and Gold Coast at the Adelaide Oval, and West Coast vs Sydney and Optus Stadium, a big round 24 fixture there. It is sure to be a huge 2025 AFL season, such a huge fixture, and it is going to be a great year. The fixture template itself does look different in terms of when games are played, and it's going to be such a great year next year for the AFL. So I think personally the fixture is pretty good. I think there's a few little quirks and a few little tweaks in there that could make it better, but overall I think it is pretty good. Anyway, though, feel free to let me know your thoughts on the fixture in the comment section down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so then you'll never miss another video on the channel. Bye everyone, Flame Footy out.